couple of not little things, but it's a little disjointed. I wanted to talk to you mainly about, it all comes down to mixing. So today we're really talking about mixing things. I wanted to talk to you about mixing your own blood made from caro syrup. We do have stage blood. I know you don't like caro syrup. I will elaborate other times. I know you started doing this. But the reason I'm doing the caro syrup today is mostly to talk about color theory, and that segues into our lighting and how colors work with each other. And it's really interesting conversation. The reason it really sparked my attention is because in November, right after I finish this, I have another movie that I'm going to be starting on with a friend of mine who's an amazing effects artist. And she and I always get into this debate because I like really cool tone bloods. I like really blue, really dark, deep purpley, black bloods. And she loves really translucent, bright, orangey schmear,
she's
red
a Burton blood fan.
What?
Burton
She's a
blood.
Burton blood fan. This one always looks so orange, and I hate it.
She likes not orange blood, but when the blood is red and when it smears, then the translucency of it makes it orangey. So that's where we butt heads. She's the lead effects artist for this movie, so I'm following her lead. But that's what really segued me into thinking like I should talk to these guys about blood colors and mixing your own colors and how the lighting in the room affects the makeup that you did. And also quantities and ratios, and that also leads into gelatin, so I figured I'd throw that in there too, because coloring the gelatin and the amount of water, that all ties in. So it won't be a super long discussion, but questions are very welcome. So this is caro syrup. It's like a sugary corn syrup. It's sticky as shit.
Outside.
Is it delicious?
I don't think so.
It
That's
should be sweet.
It's sweet, right?
You want to taste it? I'll get.
Yeah, I do.
Let's say like the store, like if you buy store-bought fake blood, try to avoid that being near your actor's mouth because it tastes like glue, and it's not appealing.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Have fun.
I don't like it.
It's not terrible.
But it's not. It's edible.
No,
It's
it
not
is
toxic.
delicious.
Where's my
Yeah, but I used to eat that all the
I
time.
used to eat way too much of that.
I like it because it is edible and we can put it in their mouth.
Like the blood capsules.
The actors that I worked with over the summer got this in their mouth all the time. It's just gross. They're doing the rush at the missing. So, and it's clear. So it's a translucent palette. Whatever we mix into this is what we're gonna get. I just want to make sure this is on here because if it spills, we're screwed.
Yeah.
So, liquid food coloring, best friend. For some reason, this is becoming harder and harder to find, and I don't know why. Because everyone's using like gel food colorings now.
Ah.
So
Shaw's still has the liquid.
where?
Shaw's.
Yeah. So I usually do, like I said, I like the dark blue, cool toned,
What's that?
purplish almost. So I did 2 drops of red. Right? I'm gonna use a popsicle stick so we can get some. So I worked with another effects artist who's not as skilled, doesn't have as much experience. Well, she has a lot of experience, but she doesn't push herself very far. So this is her blood. This is just 2 drops of red. That's pink.
Yeah.
That's so pink. And it's not, that's not really effective. And this is like, not even the stuff that you would buy at like the dollar store. It's not quite there.
It's just like putting 2 color shots in the
Blue
conditioner.
and red make purple. We should all know that. But purple is one of the hardest colors to mix, and we don't bleed purple. So this is how I do my blue. I take a toothpick, and I stick it in there, and I get the toothpick wet with the food coloring, and I mix that in. You might need to do it a couple times because it's so little, but it starts to add depth to it. Yeah. I'll do it. I'll add.
Yeah. Blue really takes over quickly too.
It does, because blue is very dark. It's very close to black. And black Who here has ever studied color theory? Has anybody studied color theory? Okay. So we all know you never add white to black. You always add black to white. You never add dark to light because the dark is just gonna, you want to add, you want to take your lighter colors and add the darker colors to them.
Right.
Because you can add a little bit at a time and work up to where you want to be. You don't want to start with black and add a ton of white because you're going to need as much blue as I added to as much red. And if you started with like a whole drop of blue, you would need like 17 drops of red, and then you would overmix and you'd have way too much and you'd waste it. So this is getting more red, less pink. You can see it's starting to darken a little bit in here. This is still a little bit light for what I like to use. Like I said, I like mine very dark, but you can't overmix it. And I was on set for a movie, and I asked someone else to mix the blood for me just to save time, and I said, you do a drop, do 2 drops of red and a drop of blue.
Oh boy.
And this was in like one of these cups. So to talk about waste,
Oh no.
this is what I got. I'm gonna have to smear this because in here it looks black.
Right.
This
no, but it's
this is fine
super
for black
dark
blood.
purple.
Yeah. The thing about purple, it's the hardest of the colors to mix. This is what I got. This is... That's my blood now.
Yeah.
That's 2 drops of red and a drop of blue. That's
Wow.
purple.
Yeah.
That's not even...
That's yeah.
No one's bleeding that. And it's a waste. So, I need, when, sorry, I have a radio in my ear.
Okay.
So when you do the red and the blue, it's like a couple toothpicks worth of blue to get that ratio, and it darkens it to almost like a burgundy, which is more what we're looking for. I'm going to show you the kind of blood that my friend Sam likes to use. She mixes hers in the opposite direction. It's a little bit more complicated, and it's hard to...
Is there a meeting going on here?
It's fine, we're doing a class, but you can cut their... I'm going to start again with the red base, obviously, because it's blood, and blood is red. Alright. This mix is a little bit more complicated because you don't want to make it, like, absurd, but red is a stronger color than yellow, so it's not as hard, or it's not as big of an issue when you're trying to like add the blue. You don't want to add too much and make it purple and ruin it, so you have to do it by toothpick. Yellow is lighter than red, so you can just kind of go for it. So her blood is like stupid bright compared to mine. One wasn't even enough. I think I'm in 3 drops now. So, color theory, going back to kindergarten. If we mix red and yellow, we get
Orange.
orange. And that's what she's looking for. So her blood is so red.
Oh,
But remember the first one we mixed, that was just 2...
purple.
It was,
Oh,
well, the
there's
very
this one.
first, it was just 2 drops of red, and
Yes.
it looked like pink.
Pink.
It looked like hot pink. This is, her blood, her goal with it is to be super bright, and when it smears, like if you had like a bloody handprint and you wiped it on a wall, you have, the middle where it's thinner. So she wants it so when it's thinner, it's very orangey. So mine might be a little bit close to the orange side. The other thing that she's accounting for with her blood is the color tone for the movie. The color tone for the movie, this is a flashback scene, is almost sepia toned. So everything is that orange. So she's trying to make this a really red orange so it pops against everything else and becomes like bright. If you made like a purpley blue blood like I do and you put an orange filter over it, what happened? Does anybody know about complementary colors?
It's just gonna go brown, isn't it? Like,
Right, because
gross.
purple and orange are complementary colors. They're opposite of each other
They
on the color
neutralize
wheel.
each other.
Exactly. So then it's just going to be brown, and the blood is going to be nothing. A lot of black and white, like zombie photo shoot kind of things. They don't even make a blood. They use Hershey syrup because it's so dark and it smears the same way with the translucency. It doesn't matter what color it is.
Right.
They just need it to hit that needs to be dark. Because if they made a red caro syrup blood, a lot of light goes through that.
Right.
And then in the black and white photo, it just kind of washes out to
Yeah.
nothing.
That makes
So
sense.
we have our overmixed purple and we have our orange, if you guys want to check those out. So that being said, and this is something you'll hear a lot, which is kind of weird, red is a warm color. We know warm colors associated with fire, red, orange, yellow. You can also have a bluish red or an orangey red. You can have a warm red or a cool red. So I like cooler reds for my blood. She likes warmer reds for her blood. So that's something to be aware of when you're doing that. And that ties into doing lighting. So if you have a spot in your house, for you guys, for example, you have between the semis and there's that green laser, the light in that room is predominantly green. Opposite of green is red. Everything you do in red in that room is going to look brown.
Brown.
So
True.
you want to be aware of that because the lighting is going to change how it's seen. Like we were just telling Tova when she was in here, she's in a room that has a red light, or there's predominantly red lights in her house. Her makeup was red. Red over red is going to wash it out. Anybody ever played Jumanji, like the actual board game Jumanji? It was all based on the fact that you'd get the cards and you'd have to put this like weird red speckled card under a red film and there were blue letters. So the red film and the red ink canceled each other out and all that was left were letters.
It's like the old 3D image
Like the-
stuff, yeah.
Exactly. The color lens on this side blocks out that color. It neutralizes it. Just red and red, nothing. And blue, nothing. But if whatever is blue behind that red shows. And that's kind of what is happening in your haunts. So she had red cheeks, and if she was under a red light, her whole face would just look red. She's not going to look more red on her cheeks. She's just red, and now it looks like there's no makeup. And that's something to be aware of. And that works very similarly with your lights and darks. If you have a very, very dark room and there's not a lot of light in there, color doesn't exist without light. We should have all done this in science class. Prisms, Pink Floyd. White light goes in, the prism breaks it, rainbow comes out. The only reason we have any of these colors to work with is because of the light in here. Without this light, there is no color. That's just a fact. That's physics. If you have a room in your house that has no light, there is no color. It doesn't matter what color you put on it. There's no light in there. There's no color on that face. So sometimes you might take a lot of time trying to make something really nice for an area. Strobes, strobe room, strobe maze in Carnage. The light is coming on and off so fast that most things will just look black and white because there's not enough time for the light to bounce back into your eye and for you to actually see the color. They're very unless it's like overly saturated. And that's why I tell you guys, if you have somebody in there, don't bother painting them.
Right.
Because it's just going to be this gray wash. You're going to see tones. You're going to see a
Right.
white to gray tone. You're not going to pick up on any color.
Yeah.
And mostly what you see is shapes. So doing prosthetics in that area is more effective. And they don't even have to be painted well.
Yeah.
It just has to be a weird shape because it's mostly silhouettes. So use your time effectively and know your haunt. This is why I tell you guys, go through your houses, know what's there. Swamp Shack. Swamp Shack is mostly lit green. Don't paint somebody green. Like I know that there was they did like a vomit thing with oatmeal and it was all like grease paint and green and yellow and awesome. The whole room that this person is green.
Right. So you can
It's
see
green
it.
and natural light. You can't see any of it. It's just texture at that point because green makeup with a green light washes out. You could have gone in a totally other direction. Opposite of green is red. You could have made it red. It would have looked brown. Or make it like a rusty, burgundy, kind of deep red color. And it will just be kind of gross and grungy in that lighting. So pay attention to where your actors are going. I know sometimes it's hard and they get pulled and moved around. But knowing your haunt and knowing where they're going, or knowing what kind of lighting you have overall, can help you decide the palette for what you're working on. I'm going to also go over some gelatin stuff.